You're listening to Prep Insider Radio with your hosts, Tommy Morris.
Good. This is nothing to do with State Creek baseball. I'm sorry, but have you seen a series of Fortunate Events?
Christian Pedersen.
I mean, I'm out here grinding. I'm putting in hours. I'm getting there at 5 a.m. to cheer on the water polo team at practice. I'm showing up to our basketball team. I'm showing up to our football games. We don't even have a football team, and I'm supporting that.
Noah Laxina.
And Noah Laxina's number 3 tip for Valentine's Day is...
Chill, man. Things are going to be all right. All right? You don't want to force it. Let it happen. You're going to be all right.
And Bodie Da Silva from Scorebook Live.
I mean, he brought basketball into that one. I got to give him 9 out of 10. I like it.
What's happening, sports fans? Christian Pedersen here with San Diego Prep Insider. We're doing this one via Zoom, so I apologize for a little bit of the disjointed audio. We are trying to respect the tiers that we are in. Plus, there is a new member of Noah Laxina's inner circle, so we all are respecting a little bit of boundaries there. As Noah Laxina potentially needs to...
relax.
As Noah Laxina potentially needs to update that intro to the show, and maybe instead of his top 3 tips for Valentine's Day, it's his top 3 tips for quarantine. I don't know. It sounds like I'm already in trouble for starting out the show that way, so we will quickly pivot to football. Guys, I appreciate you being here. Last week, CIF, or that might have been, was that this week, last week? I don't know. Time kind of merges now. But I should before we go any further, remind everybody that Bodie Da Silva is here with Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider for the CIF statewide. But we only care about Bodie because he's our guy in the San Diego CIF section. CIF sort of came out and said, we're not doing anything until we hear anything. So let's just plan on continuing to go down our existing schedule and path. I wanted to get everybody's kind of reaction to that and sort of confidence interval where we're at with the season happening for part 1 of the show. Part 2 of the show, we were going to have what is Adam Paul up to right now, but apparently we can't Zoom with him at work the same way we can call him at work. So maybe not. We don't know if Adam Paul is going to jump in or out of this. And then I wanted to talk with you guys about some of the football commitments that are starting to happen because National Letter of Intent signing day is behind us for every sport other than football, and we're starting to get some of the dominoes falling on the football side now in San Diego County. Let's start, though, with, like I mentioned, that confidence interval. And I'm just going to keep filibustering so Noah forgets about how angry he is at me. But let's let's start with that confidence interval. I sort of laid it out in 2 different ways. One being a long-form conversation I had with John Labita, the former Labetta or Labita, I still don't get his name right, the former San Diego assistant commissioner, just about how crazy intertwined and leveled all the difficulties are for CIF to change the existing plan and procedures. So to me, it sounds like the overwhelming option is still, let's ride this out and see if we can get out of purple tier in 2 or 3 weeks because we're still about 4 to 5 weeks away from that season 1 starting. So right now, my confidence is that until we hear something drastically otherwise, we should not plan on panicking yet and having anything changed. Do you guys agree?
A step further from there.
What? Go ahead.
I'll be super confident. I think it's going to happen because, so I watched the Gavin Newsom, press conference, whatever it was, Monday when he's supposed to announce the plan to return to play. But because the numbers were so bad, he felt it was inappropriate to announce it, but he said he already signed it. So he's already, whatever it is, he's already signed it. So I feel like if the decision was a no-go, they would have said something. I would hope if the decision was a no-go, they would have said something. If the decision was a go, they said, well, it's kind of inappropriate to announce it now after announcing that basically the whole state shut down. So let's kind of wait to announce that and just not say anything and just kind of let it sit. So I am optimistic because of that. I've been optimistic this whole time, and I've been wrong a couple times, so take it with a grain of salt. But the fact that he said he's already signed it is a good sign to me.
We're going to add it on the poll at SD Prep Insider. Are you shocked that real Tommy Morris is doing legit investigative journalism? That sounds like a really deep dive, quoting a specific press conference there. Bodie, Noah, I want to get your takes on what Tommy had to say.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Tommy said. I think it's frustrating because you'd love to know what exactly it was and that we were so close to hearing. But I'm definitely optimistic as well. I think that it is a good sign that something was previously signed and ready to go out. So obviously we still have time, and hopefully things will improve as we get closer, because it's the kids are deserving. It's been a long wait, and really want to see everyone back on the field.
Noah Lax.
Yeah, I think we still have reason to be optimistic. The fact that it's not like the decision's not made yet should give everybody hope. I want to take the time to just direct a message to the players. Control what you can control. You don't want to think, oh, there's not going to be a season. Things are heading in the wrong direction, and you stop preparing. You stop believing in the chance of having that great year that you're hoping to have. So just keep the faith, stay strong, and just control what you control. Wait till you get more information, but still have your eyes set on having that season that you want to have.
My question will be, what gives you guys any confidence that Gavin Newsom saying he already signed something means that he signed something positive and not restrictive? But I'm not going to dive too deep into that. I'll hit you with my other two scenarios, and I would like you guys to let me know which one you would say is the more likely of the fallback scenarios. State CIF has said that they will be willing to sacrifice the state playoffs in order to buy everybody 2 weeks, which would basically just be cancel the state playoffs, take the existing calendar, copy, paste it, move it back 2 to 3 weeks. To me, the other option is a league-only season without abridging any of those state playoffs. Which one would you guys rather see? Everything moved back a couple weeks, no state playoffs, or everything starts maybe 4 weeks into the season, we get a 6-week season, but we maintain the integrity of all the playoffs?
Well, why? Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I say no state playoffs is up to me, because we don't know what's going to happen with different counties specifically, and it's really unfair. Let's say, I won't even make this a selfish thing about us. Let's say some school in like Fresno, or like Fresno County, whatever it is, Bakersfield is fine, but we out here on the coast are not fine. And so the kids had to wait 4 extra weeks and got to play 4 less games so they could play in a state playoff. It's not going to happen now. So I think that the more you keep everything local, the better off you are. You're just introducing a whole bunch more problems if you're trying to get the state playoffs somewhere. Kids are going to have to bus to different counties, and it just becomes a lot more confusing. So I think try and keep it as close to home as possible. That's your best chance of getting as many games. It's kind of my thought.
Bodie.
Yeah, I'm good either way. As long as it means playing. But
that's not an answer.
Having talked to having talked to coaches in these last couple of weeks as we're working on our previews, I mean, I think they're all just like, they don't, at this point, they're not concerned of making state as like a goal or anything. Like they want to get back out. They want to play, whether it's to compete for a league title, a CIF title. Like those are the important things. Like doing away with state, fine. In a normal year, you love to have it, but just getting back out there. I would prefer, like you said, moving everything back in that time you have. But if you have to do it and you just have a league slate and kind of have openings where maybe there's a cancellation here and you move it back a week, that's fine. But I would prefer to just move the whole thing back if that's the best option.
Noah Lax.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback kind of on what Tommy said about how you want to keep it as local as you can. Just do it the best you can to make sure that we get on the field, but do it in a safe manner. Yes, it sucks because a lot of people have that dream of winning a state championship, and it's just sad that the way the things are the way they are. But I mean, I feel like that gives an opportunity for our own community to grow stronger and the rivalries to grow stronger based in San Diego. And then when we do get to play those other teams again in the future, which we're all counting on, we'll have even more pride than we already have in that center town. I'm just trying to think about it in a positive light here. I hope that there's something that we could take out of this and move forward.
So I kind of painted myself into a little bit of a corner here, because if you run back the tape the last couple of years, I have been very pro. We need to all care more about the state playoffs because we need to all rally around our singular section teams. But my take on this, and again, I'm going to be the one contrarian here, is I would be worried if the state loses another year's worth of state playoffs, considering they lost most of the basketball playoffs, all of the spring playoffs. I don't know what the financial situation starts to look like for the state level of the CIF. Not saying that we're talking about CIF going away as an institution, but I would be very curious how they can stay in the black, or at least decently functional and operational as a statewide entity if they are going on a year's worth or 3 seasons worth of no revenue coming in from state playoffs. And I would be probably the stick in the mud saying, we need to get the money. But that's what some of this kind of comes down to and boils down to. Let us know at SD Prep Insider on Twitter, on Instagram, what you think about it. We'll post some polls. We'll post some takes. Guys, next question I wanted to ask about football. It seems like, commitments are happening, and if anybody wants to shout out anyone specific, there are a couple people. But I think, B, the interesting thing to me is USD making a huge push, offering a ton of kids locally, Saints, Helix, Cathedral. Not that the two teams, USD and SDSU, would ever play each other for anything significant. It's different levels of college football. But I want to ask, is there a hypothetical world that exists where USD kind of follows SDSU's model, loads up on local talent, and we do have a city where we kind of actually care about 2-ish college football teams? Because this seems like a big push for local talent that would be a home run if they were able to grab, most of it, let alone all of it. Tommy, your reaction?
I don't think so. And the reason being, USD doesn't get scholarships, so it's a lot more difficult. You can't really, if a kid's looking for money to help them go through school, I don't think USD is ever going to be that viable option. So I don't think so. They're in a weird subdivision where their whole Pioneer League is all schools that don't give scholarships. So they're always going to have trouble not only competing with schools like Canada State, but also all the other FCS schools. So I doubt it.
Fair enough. Noah, Bodie, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I've always liked following them in recent years, and it's been a super successful program. It is weird, I think, regionally, where like the closest team in league is in Iowa, and they have to play all these cross-country road games. But as Tommy said, with the scholarship option, it just creates difficulties of how you get a kid in and what exactly they're qualifying for, and where if they have any option for a full scholarship, in most cases, I think they're going to try and take that. So at the current landscape, it's tough because when they win this league, like they do almost every year, and make it into the FCS playoffs, they're going up against these schools that are able to give scholarships. So it's impressive what they've done, but ultimately, I don't think that it can kind of become a power of getting San Diego kids away that have other options at scholarship schools.
Noah, you want to close this out on this?
Yeah, I would like to say that I feel like I think that with the more, if they were able to have more opportunity to get those kids in, you see the program grow even more. I think that it's good for the kids that, they're not getting as many looks, but they do have the other qualifications. They're great. Because you need to be a great, AP student to like all A's to get into school like USD. So to give those opportunities to those kids that maybe didn't get recruited as much, but then they're able to grow in their hometown, they're able to get developed by these great coaches and have that great college experience playing in the FCS like USD is. And I've been there too. I've been there a couple of times, like in the dorms and stuff when I was little, because they used to have that USD camp where like they would have like 4 or 5 high schools come in for spring and they'd scrimmage. It was beautiful, and just seeing what they're about. So, props to USD. Hopefully in the future they get more opportunity to bring more kids in, because what they do with those kids, you could tell that it's not just, yes, they have the talent to go there, but the way they develop them and turn them into great football players and great young men is beautiful to see.
There was a couple of different coaching announcements made since the last time that we landed here. I want to get your guys' reaction, which one you think is the impact out of these 3 announcements. We got Kurt McCaskill is going to be going from Bodie's beloved Torrey Pines High School to my arch nemesis, the Bishops School. He is going to be Kurt McCaskill is going to be the head baseball coach there. Jason Cavazos is going to be moving to take over for John Singer as the Helix basketball coach. And then Frank Quinones is hired as the head girls basketball coach at Sarah. So congratulations to all of those guys. We got a basketball, we've got another week where we're talking about more basketball coaches being hired. It feels like that's the biggest of the roundtables right now, but I feel like Kurt McCaskill at the same time is an interesting one because he was always signature of depth and talent. at Torrey Pines. Curious to see what he can get done at a small school. Not doubting that the talent will be there, but the depth might not be there. And that can be something with a baseball manager. You can be really hamstrung. Bodie, you got to see Kurt up close a lot at Torrey Pines. What do you think his impact could be potentially at Bishop's?
Yeah, no, I was always really impressed with him as a coach. Obviously, background of being a really successful pitcher, and he always had a really good staff with him. So that's what I'm interested to see if any of those guys are with him at Bishop's. But I think he just really knows how to teach the game. So maybe it's not something that in the first couple of years with having kids at Bishop's, but I think eventually when people see kind of the program he runs and what you can learn under him, and especially if you're a pitcher and want to get better, I think he's a great person to learn under.
Tommy, any thoughts for you on Kurt and or any of these other coaches?
All good hires, I would say. For McCaskill, it's a little bit of a change going from a school where you're going to have 40 freshmen try out for the freshman team, and they narrow it down to a school where you only have varsity and JV. But the high level kids at school like Bishop's are just as good as the kids at Torrey Pines. Well, probably not at Torrey Pines. Let me rephrase that. Are just as good as the kids at regular public school. Torrey Pines is an exception. So he should be fine. I think it's just a little bit of a different mindset too when you go to a school like that. You don't have the numbers, so the same kids are going to have to play every single day. So it changes a little bit, but I think he'll be fine. And I think it's a good hire. And the other two great hires as well. So good all around.
Noah, I want to ask you a question. It seems like right now we're getting a lot of these people retiring who are the 20+ year type runs at coaches, and they're being replaced by decently young guys. But do you feel like are we at the end of an era where we're not going to see dudes putting together 20+ year runs at one school ever again? Like, is that going to continue to happen, or have we said goodbye to that era of coaching?
I think it just happens to be the wave right now. I think you're going to get those people that maybe have grown up through the program, played there in high school, and then they get asked to come back and they want to continue to build success there and build it from the ground up. You see moves here and there, but I feel like a new wave of coaches are coming in, and you're going to see that same tradition being built up again. It's just, life's just it's a circle of life. Things are going to go back around, and I'm excited to see what these new waves of coaches are going to bring, because they're going to be able to mix that, how they were brought up, how they were taught, and then apply it to the new school era. And I think we're like in a little bit of a renaissance right now. So I'm excited. I mean, me as an aspiring young coach, it's always good to, see what these legends have been able to do and how they've been able to have great programs for such a long time. And I'm excited to see who the new young bucks, who they're going to be, how they build their programs up. And I think it's just good for football. It's good for the evolution of the sport, and it's good for the evolution of our community.
I wish Renaissance wasn't as hard of a word to spell. That's really hamstringing me right now on the Twitter poll. Well, I asked,
which letters are double.
Yes. That's why all my art history assignments that I ever had to do in high school just completely skipped that era of art. Didn't want to type Renaissance over and over.
Tom, when Tommy gets his own program, he's just gonna put 8 offensive linemen and the quarterback, and then 2 running backs, and they're just gonna get after it.
Yes.
lined up like the field goal unit, but just dive every time.
Taste the middle, baby.
Who wants it more? Simple as that.
We'll put it on the poll at SD Prep Insider. Will Tommy Morris even allow wide receivers to try out for his varsity football team?
Hey, instead of 40s and cone drills, get to the sled. 100 yards down and back.
He's just doing.
Everybody takes the middle. Everyone plays 8 positions.
The receivers are only good for blocking downfield.
Exactly. Yeah, the receivers all need to. That's all they learn how to do in practice.
They're gonna just have special teams practice the whole day.
Whoever benches the most starts. The 11 guys to the best bench press start, and then figure it out from there.
Hey, I'm gonna flip the philosophy. Monday through Wednesday, just only special teams. We'll work on our plays on Thursday, and then we're good to go. That's what's counts today. Special teams. We're gonna have 50 different variations of the onside kick. We're gonna kick it back. We're gonna do all types of stuff, man.
I was gonna say you got some Young Wei Koo vibes there going. I want, okay, so now I cannot wait until the day that both of you have to retire from this show because you're both varsity coaches, and we get a matchup of Noah running the swinging gate field goal on 1st and 15 against Tommy blitzing 11 dudes and then flipping it, and Noah's running some, punt return as his standard defensive coverage, and Tommy's running, double tight I form for a 3-yard button hook. It's going to be the most.
No matter the outcome of that one, man, because I know we're both competitive, but we're gonna get drinks after, have a good time. But man, those are good times. Hopefully, we could come back to a little snippet like this years down the road, and it's gonna be fun to look back on.
Deal. Well, I'm glad that we can kind of jokingly go on this side tangent, but I do think it's interesting, Noah, that you bring up that you are a young aspiring coach. Tommy, you're a young aspiring coach, and I think that it's interesting. We see some of these programs basically not necessarily be revolving doors because of coaches, trying to climb that ladder. But I think right now, more than ever before, there's this weird dynamic battle going on of, is it better and more valuable to have an on-campus coach? Are we willing to have an off-campus coach? Do we need to get that coach a job here? Some coach goes from school A to school. We saw Andrew Wesleyan get bounced around because of PE coaching vacancies and all this different nonsense, when in reality, they should have just left him at Hilltop. Tommy, I it's already taken down, man.
Okay.
You sending me 6 text messages middle of the show has 1, and then you said back, okay, the show within the show. But I do think it's interesting with Jason Cavazos at Helix coming back to Helix. He was a Helix alum. He's a Helix graduate, and Singer is gone. So I'd be curious if that is if that is somebody who was selected to take over a job like that, knowing that he could potentially have a run like that.
And quickly on that, no, I think Helix basketball is a really good job. I mean, it's not in recent years what Singer had it maybe in the early 2000s. I mean, with some teams that were consistently winning CIF and making state runs, but awesome for Jason. I think that's a really good job.
I'll jump in there. I'll jump in there and say this: that 2017 team, the Miles Norris and Jalen, there was like 2 or 3 Jalen's on there. That team was nasty.
I know
that team was nasty.
Yeah. No, that was really good.
Miss you, Miles. Miss you. That's kind of all I had for the show, guys. Anybody got any closing notes that they want to get to before we get out of here and say we'll see you next week?
I would say go check out Tommy's tweet. I would buy that Raptors jersey. Great look.
Oh yeah, I did a tweet
now that
there.
They're going to be playing in Tampa.
Yeah, Raptors.
Tampa
playing Tampa.
Raptors.
I want them to make a Raptors uniform, but the little Raptors guy has sunglasses on. I think it'd be cute.
Wait, hold on. Oh my goodness. Okay, everybody.
Lake show back to back. I'm calling it right now. Free agency starts today. Hopefully we get a couple guys. But I'm telling y'all, Lake show back to back. The Dennis Schroeder trade, that you might as well just give it to us right now.
Okay, I'm going to throw 2 quick questions out there. Tommy, may I please put it on the poll? Quote tweeting your photo saying, should more teams adopt mascots with a sense of humor in San Diego high school sports?
Yes, yes, you may. Yes, you may.
Okay, deal. Secondly,
I got to head out, guys. Have a great weekend.
Deal. Noah, we miss you. We love you, man.
Love you too, guys. For real.
Yeah.
All right, I'll close on this note, and we'll get everybody out of here. He needed to stick around for literally 30 more seconds, but I'll say this on my closing note. I don't necessarily want to put it on the poll, but I kind of do at the same time, and that is, should high school sports have free agency? Because that feels like where we're potentially headed. If there's
we're not doing that.
Yeah, no, that's why I wanted that just to be the end of the end of the show. We'd hit the stop mark because it feels like in all the uncertainty. Yeah, it feels like in all the uncertainty that we're headed into right now, there is the potential for, like, if one school district or different division or whatever says, look, we're just not going to have sports. It's just not tenable. The only way to figure out where everybody goes is just like basically mirroring the end of SMU's football program and just having coaches descending on campuses with admittedly smaller bags of cash, but, bags of cash being like, hey, we need linemen. Who wants to transfer to Victory Christian? Yeah, no, I just look, sometimes you have to laugh about the absurdity of how we are allegedly 28 days out from a high school season. We have no idea what the participation is going to look like. We have no idea what the numbers are going to look like. We have no idea how everybody's going to be able to play. All we know, folks, is that every week we will be back here to help you pass the time. I have been Christian Pedersen. On behalf of Noah Laxina, who we can just say, because he ditched us now, he got a girlfriend. Good for you, Noah. Tommy Morris is joining us. He is at Real Tommy Morris on Twitter and Instagram. Bodie DeSilva is joining us from Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider of the entire state, but we only care about the San Diego CIF section. Guys, thank you very much for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.